All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome. And this is our next edition of our live stream here for Azure Back to School. Dwayne and I are super excited to have Tushar Kumar joining us today, a cloud security lead from Kodak. Tushar will be talking to us about how we adopt cloud with confidence using Defender for Cloud. Tushar, how are you?
All good, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm doing very
Doing
well.
good. Doing great.
So appreciate you joining us this morning and this live stream, and looking forward to what you have to share around Defender for Cloud. So with that
Pleasure
said,
is all mine, Dwayne. Definitely, the next 1 hour is definitely going to be, we'll see a bit of fun things with Defender for Cloud and how we can make our lives and as well as our customers' life, if you're working for different customers, easy in terms of security with Defender for Cloud.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
with that, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining. My name is Tushar Kumar. I am the cloud security lead in Kodak, Ireland. As you can see, there is my website there, the azb2s.com. You can find a comprehensive detail about me with all my social channels over there. I'm basically a Microsoft certified trainer, as well as I'm a MVP for a different cloud platform as well. And we are going to talk about today is how we adopt cloud with confidence with Defender for Cloud. When I say adopt cloud with confidence, is more of removing the worry lines from the people who are thinking from information security perspective, who are thinking from multi-cloud perspective, and a lot of other horizons. We know every time we get into any kind of transformations or adoption journeys, or pitching cloud to customers, or maybe our own organization that we will be moving to cloud, we should be doing the new project to cloud. There is always some sort of questions that comes around security, that okay, how we are going to address this piece, how we are going to address that piece, and how Defender for Cloud can play a big role in making you capable of answering those questions. So I'll not waste much of a time looking at just this. We will talk about our agenda quickly. So what we are going to talk into next 1 hour is going to be a quick overview of what is Defender for Cloud. Then we are going to look at the capability it has called CSPM. For those who don't know what is CSPM, it is basically called Cloud Security Posture Management. We are going to look at Defender for Containers, what all possibilities it has, and we are going to look at what is the Defender for database and storage we have, and also what all possibilities we have in terms of making automations in terms of our Defender and responses around that. And if the time permits, we'll look at a quick view on the Azure portal itself, looking at how the Defender for Cloud looks and how we can quickly roll out within our organizations. Okay, so this analogy, basically, this comes from the enterprise scale landing zones. And I really like this analogy, basically. So it depends. The first thing is, whenever you are looking at an adoption, whenever you are looking at cloud deployment, or anywhere in the world, if you're looking at building a car, you're looking at building a motorbike, you're looking at building a jet, the first question that anyone is going to ask is, you need to understand what is the requirements for that, what exactly it takes to build a car. Then if you are looking at the security in terms of a car, there will be altogether different security requirements. A car needs, like, when you go to buy a car, you look for how many airbags it has, what kind of speed limits, and etc. controls. You will ask the salesman, whoever it is, or you look up on the portals that what exactly security feature it has. The same goes for bikes. If you're going for a bike shopping, you will be looking at, okay, does it have ABS? Does it have a front wheels sensor? Does it have a disc brake, or does it have like a normal brake? All those kind of questions you are going to ask before buying a motorbike. If you're going to buy a jet, I never got that opportunity, but if you're going to buy a jet, you are going to ask what all security feature it has. Probably, I'm not an expert, but probably what if it fails in the middle of nowhere and it is straight going down? How am I going to survive with this? What all will be? Is it going to eject me by itself? So basically, the security feature depends, and the security requirements varies based on what we are going to build. And every organization has its own security requirements. Maybe you can have 5 different clouds. Your workloads are running in 5 different clouds. Maybe you have an specific cloud platform that you prefer, but on that platform as well, you want to use more of a platform services instead of a infra services. You want to use more of a you want to use more of application services directly, or a software as a service platforms. So you decide on the requirements, and then we look at what are the capabilities we have. So we have a quick case study here. Okay, I'll not say it's a full-fledged case study, but yeah. So we have a guy called Tom here. I hope you can see him here. So our guy Tom is starting a digital transformation journey for company Y. And a few of you might ask why it is called company Y, because company X is taken now. So specifically, he start looking at what is the frameworks available, what is the pathway we should be taking in terms of moving to cloud, in terms of overall this digital transformation. The first thing that comes in my mind, being a pro Azure guy, let's look at cloud adoption framework. When you look at cloud adoption framework, right, there is 4 different stages there. You define the strategy, you define the plan, you be the ready, and then you go for the adoption. And in parallel to that, there is 3 things that goes in parallel. And the first block here is where we are going to talk about, is going to be more of a security. So you are looking at security in terms of what all risks that you have within your environment, what all business resilience capabilities it has, and as well as the assets that you have, how it is getting protected. Okay. And thereafter, you are looking at the other aspects of it. I'll not say those are not important, but our focus area today is going to be on the security side itself. So you can look at management, you can look at governance in terms of policies, compliance, and everything. But from the security standpoint, you're looking at one of the key area is security in the cloud adoption framework. So the company-wide landscape, if we look at the moment, it's just some storage resources, which is databases and file shares and the file storages. They have their own code repository for their applications. They are planning to use infrastructure as a code to get most of the cloud. They have a full plan of going cloud native. So as much as they can, they want to go with the PaaS components. They have some containerized applications as well. So they want to use the container services. And as part of that, they have some infrastructure components as well. So it's going to be all of a mix of things, as well as the company is thinking of going multi-cloud because of it's some reason they have a requirement that, okay, we will put our workloads in AWS, we'll some workloads in GCP, and we want some things on Azure as well. And we need a unified view of that. They have a full of DevSecOps adoption, what they are thinking of at the moment, and a few compliance obligations, which everyone has always paid. So basically, our guy starts looking at other cloud platforms as well. So when you look at the other cloud platforms, and when you look at the published pillars of creating a well-architected framework in clouds, right? One thing is definitely you will find common across the board is going to be the security. So security is going to be one of the key items when you are looking at your cloud transformation journey, when you are looking at how you are going to move your workloads to cloud. And as well as when the workloads are sitting there, they are not misconfigured or having any sort of issues with them that will expose your applications, that will expose your infrastructure to any sort of vulnerability or any sort of attacks. So when we start this, this is basically we are looking at the digital transformation curve. And when you start looking at it, so the day you pitch cloud into your organization, into your customer organization, and they start getting the impact of the new technology is going to be really high. So as you can see here, the curve will grow exponentially the day you start the day you start adopting cloud technologies, like in terms of operational management. So let's say you are doing a lot of stuff at the moment, from updates, from you're doing a lot of stuff in terms of keeping your vulnerabilities scanned and everything on your machines, as all of those with a lot of automation and with a lot of platform services, and then eliminating operating system from the middle and just going on the platform services. Those things will definitely show a high value, and the value realization will be quite high on the day one itself. But with the increase of all new threat vectors that you are exposing yourself to, that will actually bring down the value realization post once we start with the journey. So what do we need to do in terms of eliminating this guy and making sure that our controls, that making sure that our cloud transformation journey is going smooth, and as well as we are getting everything in line from the security requirement perspective. So for that, what we will be doing is we will be going with the new controls and the new approaches. So the new controls and the new approaches, what is going to happen with that is we are going to adopt the cloud native application protection services. So we are looking at Defender for Cloud because a lot of past services, when you look at, they are not directly compatible with your legacy clouds, your legacy security monitoring platforms, or your legacy security posture management platforms. So our guy starts looking at Defender for Cloud. And Defender for Cloud, if we look at, and that's a Microsoft way of expanding the Defender for Cloud, the three things that we are looking at is, one is protection of your workloads. Second thing is looking at your DevOps. In the center of that, as you can see, everything is going to be your cloud security posture. So basically, till the time your cloud security posture is maintained, you are in a good shape. You have a good secure score. You are in a good shape, and your application is not prone to any vulnerabilities over there. So what Defender for Cloud provides you is protection for your cloud servers, any kind of threats to your storage resources, your databases, your past security, any kind of containers that you have, being AKS or any other containers on different clouds as well. In infrastructure services as well. So likes of your virtual machines, your network, and all of those will be accumulated, and you'll get a single dashboard out of it. So when you're looking at Defender for Cloud, basically you are getting these three categorized features, and as part of that, what you are getting is a multi-cloud support. So you must be wondering, I've been talking only multi-cloud, and we have another guy here, which is a small little icon, which looks like our on-prem. So does that cover our on-prem as well? So the answer is yes. And there is certain areas that we can look at from on-prem perspective. which is first thing is Defender for servers. You can go in. If you want to go with the full CSPM functionalities, you need to onboard your servers, you need to onboard your infrastructure with the help of Azure Arc, and then it will be fairly simple to integrate it with Defender for Cloud, and you will get everything. So how is it different? Basically, from the other things, what the difference that we are seeing is you're getting two things. First is multi-cloud and hybrid support. So all of your provisionings, all of your security monitoring that you are doing, all of that is covered under a single umbrella. Second is your cloud, basically your code to cloud security. What we say is it will be your DevOps security, and as well as you are doing your infrastructure as a code security as well. So that way, anything that goes into your cloud, that is also getting secured. So it is like a putting another layer on top of it. End to end, the thing is you are getting the whole end to end life cycle of your protection. So that will basically cover your cloud native application, your non-cloud native application, and as well as any applications which is getting into your any applications which is running on different clouds as well, and you are getting the full protection. And our old friend, it used to be at ATP, it is still there with Defender for Cloud. So what you're getting is advanced threat protection, and it is evolving every day, and it is basically functionality that you get from basically Microsoft's intelligence platform, and you're getting all the signals that is Microsoft is collecting, and based on that, you are getting a proper workload specification in terms of your threat alerts, in terms of scanning of threats and your workloads specifically. Okay, so just have a quick look on, if we have a quick look on Defender for Cloud work, how the dashboard looks like, right? So on the right, we have the dashboard. Basically, as if you can see here, you can see it specifically says what all resources that you have connected it to, what all resources we are looking at from the assessment perspective, and also from the recommendation standpoint, what all recommendations we have, and all the alerts in a quite sophisticated manner. So basically, at any point of time, if your C-level is asking specifically, we need such a report. Okay, tell me what is the level of regulatory compliance. So let's say, what is the compliance status from ISO 27001, or let's say PCI DSS. You can easily get that level from here. And if you are having any sort of, if you're lacking at any places, you can basically go and see what all places you are lacking, and you can just remediate those. There is tons of functionalities that you will find as a quick fix, which is basically a single button next to the recommendation. And when you click that, it basically triggers a logic, and what it does is it remediates on the specific resource. But if there is no quick fix, it will basically give you a guide through as well, that what do you need to do to get this particular vulnerability or this particular compliance requirement fulfilled. So if you are looking at a proper focused view of what is the regulatory compliance, what is the security posture, what is the status of my workloads, you can easily do that with the Defender for Cloud dashboards. And it is not basically limited to this dashboards. You can create your custom workbooks. You can see that you can make it based on your requirements as well. So the last one that we talked about, so we talked about here the workload protection. So basically, from the workload protection standpoint, right? So what all is getting covered at the moment? And don't quote me on this list. This is a quite, I'll say, starting point. Okay. and Defender is evolving each and every day. So I used to say first Defender for cloud, and now at this point of time, if you ask me, I'll say Defender for, there is a Defender for everything. So we'll go back to Microsoft documentation after this, and we'll see what all we have in terms of Defender. So Defender, if we are looking at from the workload protection perspective, right? So I really like this one. It says any server from compute perspective, your scale sets, your KTS, your app services, or if you have any unmanaged KTS, all of those is covered. As also anything from the service layer perspective. So now you will see Azure DNS, keywords, Defender for your network layer, as well as your Red Defender for your resource management as well. So when you are doing any deployments, so Defender for Resource Manager is also available. So what you can do is you can enable that, and that will give you protection from any malicious deployments as well. From the storage standpoint, you have all the services across the board, starting from blob storage, file storage, any kind of database that you have, all of that is being covered. Good. That same goes for your AWS and GCP and on-premises workload. So as I was mentioning, right? So you can go with your on-premises, you can go with Kubernetes, you can go with SQL servers, and you can go with the normal servers as well. All of those workloads are also being protected under the single umbrella. And that applies to AWS and GCP as well here, as you can see. Okay. So looking at cloud security posture management. So this is and I get a lot of questions from customers who I have talked in past about Defender, and even proposed it as a CSPM. So earlier on, if you have worked with Defender earlier on, I think it's not long, 6-7 months back. There was only one Defender, and which we used to say it does the CSPM capabilities. It still does the CSPM capabilities, but there is now two brackets into it. One is foundational, and one is Defender CSPM. So the only change over here is this guy is free, and this guy you are getting as a paid service. So when you go for Defender CSPM, the additional services that you are getting, apart from your continuous assessment and getting the recommendations, and also any quick fix options and your secure score, basically we have the governance options as well. So if you need to put governance controls, you will get that as well. You will get regulatory compliances. So the tab that we were looking at from the regulatory compliances perspective. Another three features that we will be looking at last is agentless scanning of the machines, and Cloud Security Explorer and attack path analysis we'll see in the coming slides as well. So there is certain functionalities that you are getting additional if you are going with the Defender for CSPM. It comes with a cost, and you have subscription-based cost here, and you can basically go through the costing piece based on your requirements there. Okay. So overall, the continuous assessment piece, right? So first thing is anything that you have as your regulatory compliance marked, and basically it does with the help of cloud, with the help of initiatives as well. And you will see all the controls details. I just have this as a placeholder for you, looking at from the network side, from the identity side. If you look at the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, it will give you a quick view of see what all things we have here, which is not meeting the compliance requirements. And also in terms of making this automatic assessments, and what all things that you need to do. So let's say their SQL should have the TD enabled, same for your EBS instances in AWS. Any attached volume that is there, it should be encrypted at rest. It should not be sitting as a plain disk. Any automation accounts or any additional functionalities that you're using. So it will give you a comprehensive list, and you will see all the compliance controls where it is not matching, and what all specific resources that you have. So placing a overall, I'll say, placing an overall requirement and putting it under a single umbrella, it basically helps you out meeting your compliance requirements, and also the prep work that happens for a month or so, just to clear out if we are meeting everything in terms of, let's say, ISO or upcoming ISO audits. That basically cuts down a lot of time for you in terms of giving you guidance, and as well as giving you the proper requirements over here. Okay, so the next thing, as we talked about, we are looking at Cloud Security Explorer. So basically, Cloud Security Explorer is a new functionality that is added to basically our Defender for Cloud. So what it does is it gives you capabilities to query your overall estate with help of different conditions, and as well as with different conditions, and as well as like any vectors that you think of in terms of identifying any insights or any vulnerabilities and any misconfigurations to it. So as you can see in the example, so we can see that this is a fairly, I'll say, simple example we are looking at. So if there is any virtual machine which is exposed to internet, and we have the port 22 exposed for that, that will basically come up as, okay, we have these 5-6 machines that we have, and all of these machines have these ports open. So this is fairly wide open machine. So 0 to 655535, the ports are open. So this is a high risk machine we are looking at. And basically this feeds into attack path analysis, what we are going to talk then in the next slide. So basically we have attack path analysis. So we'll just take a step back and we'll see, we saw all the conditions that you can make. This is more of a giving you capability around creating custom flows and creating custom, I'll say not custom flows, creating custom queries in terms of finding out vulnerabilities and the weakness in your configurations and in your application deployments. When we look at attack path analysis, it is more of giving you an automated way of what all possible routes to your application, possible vulnerabilities that the application that Defender can see. So if you look at this example over here, right? So we are looking at overall, we have the virtual network that routes the traffic to a specific subnet that goes to a specific network interface, which is connected to a public IP here. And that is also having this virtual machine. So basically what we have is anyone can access this machine. And why this is severe over here, because the VM has specific high severity vulnerabilities. And not just it is just looking at the upstream of it, it will look at the downstream of it. So this virtual machine have a read permission to the key vault. So the key vault secrets are not safe because of that. So you need to make sure that you limit that, or you make sure that you cut off that specific access to that machine. Same for if there is any AAD user account and that has MFA and that has key vault access or those kind of things. So basically any privileged permissions on the subscriptions, as well as it actually integrates with intra permission management. So that's a whole topic of its own. But if you have to do a permissions review and everything, that you can do specifically with intra permissions management along with the Defender for Cloud capabilities. Okay. The next piece that we are going to talk about, and that was the first block of 3 categories that we did. So that is going to be Defender for DevOps. And when we look at Defender for DevOps, right, it is basically going to give you code review functionality for you from vulnerability perspective. So basically what it does is it does the code scanning. It gives you what all resources that you have, what all repositories that you have, which is exposed, which is not in a healthy state. And based on that, it feeds in from the OSS vulnerabilities. So you get all the OSS vulnerabilities as well, and you get all the Microsoft intelligence, and it gives you a full view of, okay, so you are using this code, and this code has, let's say, 10 different secrets mentioned as plain text in there. So you are getting all the secrets, you're getting whatever is matching from the OSS vulnerabilities, you're getting all those in that. You can connect the Azure, basically you can connect the Defender for DevOps with Azure DevOps and as well as your GitHub repositories. And basically it will give you a full view of what all things that is having problematic in that. So if you look at the example, so let's say we have infrastructure as code, and you are looking at the SQL Server auditing storage destination should be some lockdown, or you have, let's say you have any apps that is using, let's say, secrets, and it is using still using any application, Azure AD application for the authentication, if you're deploying a web application. So basically I'll say this is, and this is what we talked in the previous slides as well, right? So this is more of a putting another layer before the deployment happens, that you are making sure that everything is deploying perfectly, and then post that if there is any so the way it works is you are doing the infrastructure as a code on your repositories, you're putting your infrastructure as a code. Defender for Cloud scans that and gives you what all things that this one thinks, okay, is missing from that. So let's say you are deploying a web application, you're deploying an app service, and you're deploying a function app, and you have the option to HTTP and HTTPS both to be accessible on both. So that's where it comes and gives you a recommendation. So okay, this web application should be accessible over HTTPS only. So there is a simple flick button that you can flick, and it make it HTTPS only. All you need to do is add another line in your infrastructure as a code, and you'll be good to go with that. Same in terms of any diagnostic settings. So whenever you're deploying anything, it is making sure on the day one itself that when the deployment is happening, your code is getting scanned. If any vulnerabilities or if there is any security risks that we are looking at, that will come in picture. And if you want to fix that, you can fix that, and if you don't want to fix that, you can just accept that, and or maybe mark it as a false positive on this one, and it will disappear from here. So in the end, what you are getting is you are getting a controlled view, you are getting a controlled dashboard, which is going to tell you on the day one itself, okay, you had this 10-15 different things that you needed to fix. You gave justification to 5 that this is why this is not there, and you fixed the other 5. You can show that to your C-level. Once that is deployed, if there is any configuration drift is happening, if there is any changes that is happening manually, and or maybe you're forcing it down, then that will be captured with the CSPM, and you will start getting from the CSPM itself. Now, further down the line, this is more of a configuration from the deployment standpoint. If any of your applications, if any of your workloads, so likes of your storage account is getting any malicious file uploaded to it, if your app service is getting any malicious traffic coming to it, all of that will be captured by Defender for Workload, which will be the workload specific functionality. Okay. Now, if we're looking at automating things, right, in terms of this, you can basically automate if anyone is going to do, let's say, I want to make it on a pull request, right? So mostly what will happen is, if you have a big team working on that, if you're a big team working on your infrastructure as a code, in this case, you are going to put a pull request annotation here, and you can put the categories and the select and the severity levels over here. So what will happen is, whenever someone raises a pull request, what it will do is, it will automatically run the scan, and it will give you that, it will assign the severity levels, and it will give you a overall response to it, that okay, these are the recommendations that we have seen. Okay. You must be thinking why we have a couple of specific Defender from Workloads picked up, because these are fairly new services, and we are looking at from the container standpoint. We have Defender for Containers available now, which gives you a VA for your containers. So any sort of vulnerabilities, it will give you a full view of it. You get the runtime, and it's basically a agentless approach. So you get overall runtime protection of your containers. You get any sort of hardening that you want to apply in terms of the security benchmarks. You can now enforce and audit your AKS containers for those. Any sort of policy enforcement in terms of making it, either you want to keep it on audit mode or you want to force it, you can force that on containers as well with the help of Defender for Containers. Same for Defender for Databases. We have the span of resources, and we have the coverage from on-premises to other cloud, or if it is Azure native, being it Synapse, being it a SQL database, or being it managed instance, or being it any platform. If you have it on premises, it should be Arc enabled SQL Server. That will be the easiest way of onboarding that, and you get all the ATP and vulnerability assessments of your SQL servers. So it goes in depth. It gives you all the details. Okay, any sort of issues with your SQL servers. Same goes for your SQL databases, which is again the PaaS platform. Same goes for your SQL managed instance, wherein it is a PaaS platform, and you are not controlling the specifics of your on-premise. You are not controlling the operating system layer as well. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Defender for Storage is one of I'll say it was a really good news for me when it came. Though the anti-malware functionality is still in preview, if I'm not wrong, but Defender for Storage is one of the key asks from a lot of customers of mine, and potentially you might have seen it at some point of time as well. So any sort of suspicious patterns that it sees from accessing perspective, or anything that is like unusual detection that it sees on the storage as well, right? You get a straight away alert out of it. Any sort of, because when you integrate storage accounts with different applications, and you have let's say a REST API enabled onto it, and you're giving the upload functionality on, and your custom web page is doing the uploads, either you have to do a manual check in the middle with a different software, or a different piece of code, or you are uploading blindly whatever goes in. So you are not having a proper control there that basically checks if the file, if someone is uploading, if it is malicious or not. So in order to now, with this functionality coming in within Defender for Cloud, you can overcome that. If there is any sort of potential malicious content getting uploaded, it will basically alert you. And what you can do is, you can basically make it automated with the help of our good friend Azure Sentinel. So either you can make it an automated remediation. So let's say if there is any malicious file gets uploaded, and if the Defender for storage account gets that particular file as a malicious file, what it can do is it can move it to a different container or keep it contained until and specific admin says, okay, no, this is fine, we can go ahead with that, or until the investigation basically goes within this our Azure Sentinel. So the remedial action will be taken based on what the configuration is going to be in terms of if you want the admin intervention onto it, or if you want it to be automated. Okay, so what we call is operationalizing Defender for Cloud. So when we are looking at Defender for Cloud, deploying it into operations, right? So we have a couple of options. So in terms of just if we are looking at workloads, and if we are looking at servers sitting in on-premises environment, we can look at the extensions installation. We can look at the agent installation on the machines and keeping it directly. So that's going to be one way of doing it. The recommended way is going with the Azure Arc. So what you can do is any which way Azure Arc, if you're just onboarding, it is free for you. So onboarding services, and I believe you might have seen the Azure Arc capabilities in the previous sessions as well. So you're onboarding the resources to Azure Arc with the help of Azure Arc management plane. And what you can do is then you can have a full control over your overall servers, your containers, your SQL databases, and it will start looking like an Azure resources within your Azure Cloud Portal. And then you can easily roll out your Defender for Cloud, and you start getting the insights about those resources as well, in terms of any sort of vulnerabilities, or in terms of any sort of compliance drifts. All of those will be provided over there. So anything from Defender for Cloud perspective, right? When you go more of we said a lot of times that, okay, we are going to get alerts out of it. We are going to get recommendations out of it. But when you are looking at it from the perspective of automatic remediation, that whatever is the issue, and we want there is certain issues that are common occurring issues, we want to just isolate a host. We want to make sure that a few things, if some group gets notified, or maybe some users gets notified out of it. So basically you can integrate with the help of workflow automation. What you can do is you can create multiple workflows, and every workflow you can attach it with a logic app. So, and the beauty of logic apps is it's basically, as the name says, whatever logic you want to put on top of that. So you can take the alert, you can put what exactly is going to be the condition for that alert to be triggered. What is the conditions for that logic app to be triggered, and based on that, the logic app will get all the details out of that alert. You can then split it. You can then make whatever action that you want to take according to those alerts, and make the security, make the alerts closed, or maybe people notified, or people assigned to it. Maybe it goes to your ServiceNow ticket, it goes to your emails, or any other way. Okay. So yeah, so from the response and automation perspective, as we talked last time as well. So on the last slide, so you have options. Either you go with the logic apps, you can go with the emails, you can set it up for Teams notifications, Slack notifications, ServiceNow tickets, and Azure Sentinel. So it's going to be more of a from quick fixes perspective, or it's going to be more of a notification perspective. Sky is the limit when you have the logic apps, and it's basically up to you how you define the logics, how you define what do you want to actually do with from the investigation perspective, or managing any incidents that is occurring. Okay, so we talked a lot about things. We had a good view of what all is there, what all we can do, and how we can do things. But always the question comes is how much it is going to cost me. So when I say how much it is going to cost you, is you can have a quick look, and that's what I'm going to do here. So we are going to see quickly what is the costing plan for Defender. So as I mentioned on the CSPM functionalities, so foundational is free, and this is what we used to get until this guy has arrived. So now with the additional functionalities, whatever resources that you are putting, so all the resources every hour you're paying $0.007, and that will be the subject to your region, that will be subject to your Microsoft changes. But this is the place where you will be looking at in terms of what it is going to cost you. And then going back to the first slide of mine, it totally depends that if you're building a car, if you're building a bike, or if you're building a jet, it depends what all services that you need, and you can pick and choose between the Defender products. So it's not like a one bundle that you are buying, that, okay, I am going to get Defender for Cloud, and that Defender for Cloud is going to do everything for me, container databases, even though if I don't have containers, even though if I don't have Cosmos DB or storage, or I don't have any deployments and everything. So it is basically as granular as going to each and every resource side. So any resources likes of MySQL, any resources going with the PostGRE, going with MariaDB, every resource has its own pricing model, and it goes all the way up to the Defender for. So this is the one that I mentioned, that this is going to be one of the key capabilities, which is going to make sure that any deployments, any deployments that is happening, it is not happening with any sort of suspicious activity, or any like I'll say any big configurational drifts. Okay, so this is basically more of a pricing model. So that gives you more flexibility when you are going with the Defender for Cloud, and when you are looking at the overall state, what exactly is going to be my cost, and you are not paying for a lot of things that is not required by your organization. Okay, so the decision has been made, and we are going with Defender for Cloud for our cloud adoption. And what all are the responsibilities and the logics that we have given to our different stakeholders in terms of this adoption? So for any of your C levels, it's basically giving you more and more, I'll say, more control over the security strategy, and it gives you more visibility on tracking your performance with the different dashboards that you have. And basically, the biggest benefit will be you have a visibility over multi-cloud estate. Any of your security admin will have a overall view of the security landscape, and as well as the attack surface of the overall environment. So you will have a clear picture that, okay, how the environment is, what all things can be vulnerable, and what all things are drifting. So security admin does not know, or maybe if there is a different team doing some implementation for a different application, and they made some changes which is making security drift, so they will get a visibility into it. So for them, it is going to be less of a hassle in terms of managing the overall environment, keeping the overall environment hardened, and making sure the policies are enforced all over the place. Okay, from the operational standpoint, basically all the security related alerts, you get a full view. You get a full view with the proper explanations, and as well as you are getting a proper link to the specific attack area that the alert is coming from. And also you are getting the AI powered threat detection, which is basically making sure that any identified attack, we are getting proper incident severity level created to it. And if there is any automated mitigation for that, we can set that up as well. Okay, so that's more of looking at overall Defender for Cloud. I will just go on a quick view of how we can see it on the portal itself. Though we are not looking at any of a real life use case scenario, we will be looking at Defender for Cloud and how it looks like and what all options we have when we go in the real life. I hope this is visible. Okay, yeah. So this is one of my playgrounds, and we have 2 subscription into it. There is 8 resources. There is no active recommendation. I have done such a tremendous job here. And there is 8 security alerts over here as well. So if you look at that, if you look at those alerts, and the reason why they are sitting over here is they are either medium or low, and I don't want to resolve these. So it's basically saying, okay, there is a website, and you can see that I have some web app services, which is named this is basically giving me, sorry, if I go on the full details here. Okay, so yeah. So it is basically giving me the details of what exactly was that, what all resources was affected, what is the MITRE attack tactic is used. And based on that, I need to take an action accordingly. So basically, if you can see, there is a specific, this is basically my website we are talking about, and we have a specific, maybe I'm not a pro web developer. So the style sheet that I'm using that has some sort of malicious thing, or it is detecting as a malicious. So, and it gives you a proper action plan as well. So what you need to do is, there is no logs because it's just a style sheet we are looking at. Then it is asking you to review the URL, which is given in the alert. And even if it is specific, we can trigger a logic app alert. So basically, I don't have any logic app set up at the moment for any automated remediation. So that's the reason we are not getting it here. So as you can see over here, it gives you a proper view of what all things what all things happened for that security alert, and what all things you need to do in terms of the recommendations. So, and going through the same, we have attack path analysis that we talked about. We have any alerts that is coming in a single blade. And this feature we talked about, Cloud Security Explorer. So you have basically all the options you have that you can use to make your custom queries, and as well as you can go with the templates as well. So this is the template that I used for the demo there. So you can just open this query, and what it will say, okay, so this is the virtual machines that has exposed to internet, and then you can add, let's say, which is port, and we can say port is 3389, and it will give me all the machines that is there with 3389 port open for the internet. Okay, custom workbooks we have. Definitely, and this is what the C-level is always loving about Defender for Cloud, is what is the secure score over time. So the security team who is sitting in the organization, are they working? Are they improving the security posture? Are they improving the secure score? So there are definitely predefined workbooks as well. And there is always a little button that I love here, which is about editing the workbooks. And there is tons and tons of workbooks available in GitHub repositories and by different community channels, what you can use for different use cases within your Defender for Cloud. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So this is more of a quick view of Defender for Cloud, and we are looking at what all we can do with the Defender for Cloud. So this is me, and you can reach out to me with my website, and you have a column where you can get all the details about me, and you can just reach out to me on any social channels, and I will be happy to help you out if you have any issues or implementations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tushar. That was great, and really appreciate you going deep into Defender for Cloud, showcasing all of its capabilities, how people can truly operationalize it across not just Azure, but AWS, GCP, and on-prem as well, and the different nuances that come with Defender for Cloud. Because to your point, that's right. A lot of people, I think, forget that while there is this umbrella of Defender for Cloud, there are individual Defender products underneath, and not all of them are available to you right out of the gate, right? You have to turn them on, and some of them have more advanced offerings versus some are still in the works and being built up, and I'm excited for where Defender for Cloud is going. So thank you so much for your contribution. I certainly enjoyed it and loved learning more about Defender for Cloud, and I hope the audience did as well. Dwayne, any other thoughts from you before we wrap it up and let Tushar enjoy the rest of his day?
No, thank you very much, Tushar, and thanks everybody for Frank. Thank you for your contribution, and everybody else that has been contributing. Anybody that's tuning in can follow the schedule on azureback2school.github.io at the bottom of the screen here, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything for any of our presenters. You can certainly comment in the YouTube video, or reach out to any of us on LinkedIn, and we are always happy to help, because we are community contributors and we'd love to help the community as much as possible. So thanks again, Tushar, and appreciate your contribution. And as Derek said, great presentation. Loved learning some good, nice deep dive on Defender for Cloud. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, Derek.
All right.
Have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody.
Everyone.